All right. A very pleasant afternoon to everyone who are attending our webinar for today from all over the Philippines. And of course, I cannot discount that there is the possibility that we have some international friends and audiences. So good morning or good evening, wherever you may be. It's a wonderful day today, the 20th of July, 2022, and we are gathered here as advocates of quality because of this free webinar entitled Choosing the Right Continuous Improvement Approach. It's my honor and privilege to join you and accompany you as host for today's session. My name is Hilmalian Jr., and I'm one of the technical specialists of the Quality Management Technical Hub. And thank you in behalf of the Philippine Society for Quality for joining us in this very informative learning session. In this webinar, again entitled Choosing the Right Continuous Improvement Approach, we will talk about some of the continuous improvement approaches that you can explore in your own organizations, and of course, the benefits of each of those continuous improvement approaches that will be discussed. I know that you are all as excited or even more excited than I am to learn more about these continuous improvement approaches. So if you are very much excited, could you uh, make it known to us by typing in the place or the area where you are watching? No, because this session is being streamed live in our official PSQ Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube channels. So again, thank you very much for being with us and uh, make your presence be felt by all of us here at PSQ. Our session for today is, of course, to be given to us by this very generous resource speaker of ours. And when I say generous, it comes into two folds. One, because he will be giving his expertise and his time for us to learn more about quality. And second, because there's something in store for all of you, our dear audience, later on. So please uh, do not leave us. Stick around till the end of our session. So you will be able to find out that second aspect of the generosity of our resource speaker. He has a total of 11 years of working experience in helping individuals and organizations to build and utilize competencies in continuous improvement, innovation, and analytics across the fields of academics, logistics, supply chain, manufacturing, training, and consulting for SMEs up to multinational corporations. He has proven skills relating to business administration, people management, research, statistical analysis, workshop facilitation, and consulting. He was also able to complete and coach projects utilizing proven tools and methodologies such as the DMake for Six Sigma, SCORE for Lean, the Design Thinking for Innovation, and other self-initiated improvement frameworks on OEE and capacity improvement, preventive maintenance, time reduction, mistake proofing, quick engineering solutions, idea management, and so on and so forth. So our speaker really has a lot of things to offer to us today. He also published an international book entitled Introduction to Statistical Process Control, a problem-solving process approach, and another entitled Best Practices in Managing uh, Virtual Teams under the Book Boon Limited, under a Denmark-based ebook publisher and an Amazon-published book entitled Creativity Tools, Develop Creative Solutions to Problems and Opportunities. He is a professional industrial engineer, an associate ASEAN engineer, a certified Lean and Kaizen facilitator, a certified Lean Six Sigma Master Black Belt, a certified Design Sprint Master, and a chartered business advisor. Our speaker also leads international initiatives to the Philippines as chairman of the International Association of Innovation Professionals, or the IAOIP, and the national president and country manager for the Association for Manufacturing Excellence, or AME. He has been elected as the board director of the Lean Operational Excellence Division of the Institute of Industrial and Systems Engineers, or IISE. And during the pandemic, he founded an online community for Filipino industrial engineers called Pinoy IEs to help the community to have a platform to communicate and to collaborate things about the profession. And with all these initiatives he designed and deployed to the industrial engineering community here in the Philippines, he has been conferred with the honorary doctoral degree honoris causa by the Asian Seminary Leadership and University of Oklahoma. He won the Asia CEO Awards 2020 Young Leader of the Year and Entrepreneur of the Year Circle of Excellence Awards. And this quarter one was awarded the Outstanding Edupreneur of the Year by the World Education Leader Summit and Awards and the ASEAN Startup Award Founder of the Year finalist for the Philippines, and recently awarded with the Asia CEO Awards 2021 Entrepreneur of the Year Circle of Excellence finalists and Top 100 Filipinos on LinkedIn. Recently, he was awarded as one of the top 100 Filipinos in LinkedIn 2022 Philippines Top 30 Leaders on LinkedIn and Outstanding International Trainer by the International Leaders and Achievers Award 2022. My friends, ladies and gentlemen, fellow quality enthusiasts, let us welcome our speaker for today, the founder and CEO of Ask Lex. Sorry for that. Ask Lex PH Academy, Mr. Felix C. Veroya. Good afternoon, Sir Felix.
Hi, good afternoon, Heel. Thank you for that, very um what do you call this compressed introduction. So yeah, thank you, and hello everyone. First, I would like to thank, of course, Dr. Ray B. for Mista for giving me this opportunity to be part of this webinar series. I do hope that I can deliver the expectations coming from the invite. But yeah, let's start probably because time is limited for us today. So I'm trying to share my screen. Hopefully you can see it. All right. So I'm seeing a lot of people now very active in the session. So please stay active, um stay tuned because there are a lot of surprises that are installed for you on top, of course, of me sharing this things that I've learned by far for the last decade of my career as a continuous improvement practitioner on choosing the right continuous improvement approach. Okay, so first surprise is you'll have a chance to win a free Project Management Fundamentals certification. This is one of our new offering at Lex PH Academy. So all you have to do is just share this live stream, whether you're at Facebook or you're at LinkedIn. So use the hashtag. Don't forget, of course, to use the hashtag significantly better with PSQ so that we can track whether you were qualified or not for this particular raffle. So we'll be getting probably three people, okay? Three people who will win one free access. This is actually worth 5,000 pesos, but you'll be getting this for free just in case your luck is, in favor to you this day. And okay, so let's start. The topic is all about making choices, correct? So it's pretty much, of course, all of us are faced with so many choices in our lives on a daily basis. If I'm not mistaken, thousands of choices. Imagine that. But I have read from a study. You can check the actual study published using the QR code on the upper right about the abundance of choice and its effect on decision making. So quoted there, as the number of available options and the information about those options increase, people tend to consider fewer options and to process a smaller amount of the information about each of those options. Of course, when we talk about continuous improvement approaches, there are a lot of approaches that is out there. So my role for this afternoon is basically to give you maybe a heads up or a 30,000 feet view of what are these approaches, what are the common approaches that is available for us. And then eventually, how can we choose which is the best approach that will fit to our need? Also quoted is that people feel most confident in their decisions when they understand the available options and can comfortably compare and evaluate each one. So towards the end, I've created a matrix by myself when I was doing, when I was doing research and then integrating it with the things that I've learned from the last decade on what could be the two major criteria of how we choose the approach and put it in a matrix. So I'll share it with you in a short while. Okay. Just to give you, of course, a background, we'll be having a refresher on continuous improvement. We'll talk about the benefits of continuous improvement. That may already be knowledgeable to your end, or you know this already. So just to brush up, continuous improvement approaches, how to choose again, and what are the lessons learned by far in doing such things like this. Okay, very quickly, let me introduce as Lex PH Academy. So we're a value-adding training, consulting, and certification courses. We're providing certification courses, and our main verticals include continuous improvement, innovation, analytics, sustainability, lifelong learning, and industrial engineering. So we do have our own learning management system where we champion free courses that you can take. So please have a visit at aslexpage.com/courses, and so that you have at least an idea who is Aslex Page. Okay, so let's start. So what is continuous improvement? Yeah, so I've searched and I've found from ESQ or the American Society for Quality, continuous improvement, sometimes called continual improvement, is the ongoing improvement of products, services, or processes through incremental and breakthrough improvements. So basically, it's an ongoing journey of continuously improving non-stop basically. So after one, there's going to be another. It could be another area. It could be the same area, but definitely the discipline is there. The continuous, the continuity, right? Now, these efforts can seek either incremental or breakthrough. So when we say incremental, this is series of improvements over time, over a period of time. So you're not expecting, too much in terms of gains, in terms of impact, but you're really more into just the continuity of the practice. Well, there are also breakthrough improvements that happens one time, big time, all at once. So either of the two, they are both concepts that are important and critical in the context of continuous improvement or CI as we may already know. Now, let's talk about the benefits. There are, of course, a lot of benefits when you apply continuous improvement in your organization. So we're talking about increase in agility, our ability to iterate. So whenever there are changes, if your company's practicing continuous improvement, well, basically, you can move. If there are changes, you can adapt to it. And needless to say, of course, improvement in quality, not only the quality of the product and service, but more importantly, the quality of the process where these products and services are coming from. We're talking about increased productivity. Think about your KPIs. Think about your metrics. Of course, if you talk about continuous improvement, you're talking about how to improve this metrics, right? And these metrics, well, of course, they are manifestation and reflection of what? Of your productivity measures. Decrease costs, of course. You may heard already whenever there are challenges or struggles that are being experienced by the organization, by the company, what is expected coming from us is we create value through cost reduction, and that's actually why the application of CI is very important to an organization. And of course, waste reduction or the non-value adding elements of our organization, our processes. We the CI approaches is basically addressing that. Okay, so these are just some of the benefits that we can see. Of course, in your organizations, you might think of things that could have been experienced by the organization by applying the CI approaches. So before this talk, I've had the chance to, of course, solicit inputs coming from my friends and connections from LinkedIn. So I've asked them, what is your top three continuous improvement approaches? And well, the options were basically from our research that I did prior creating and curating the material. And as of yesterday, we have more than 50 respondents. And from that particular mini survey or mini study, we've come up with this seven. Well, basically, there's one option that has no vote, but I've managed to include also that in the next slide. So the number one will be Lean, followed by Six Sigma, Kaizen, PDCA or PDSA, Design Thinking or Design Sprint, Threes, and TOC. So if you can see, this is how people in the context of the continuous improvement application views their most commonly used approach. Okay, so I just summarized the seven, and now we will be giving context to each and every approach. Before I teach you how to choose, you have to understand first what is this approaches all about. Okay, let's start with, of course, the most popular coming from our survey, Lean. So Lean, you can see the format, just to put context, is that we have the title of the approach, then followed by its alias, and then the description, commonly used tools, and then the approach that is being used within that particular model or approach, or the steps probably. So let's talk about Lean as the waste elimination approach. So it is described to be a set of management practices to improve efficiency and effectiveness by eliminating waste. The core principle of Lean is to reduce and eliminate the non-value adding activities and waste that is present in your processes within your organization. So as we may already know, Lean started from Toyota way back around 1940s, introduced by Dr. Taichi Ono. Engineer Taichi Ono. And the context was to help the organization, of course, to identify these non-value adding activities or waste. So we say that the non-value adding activities are elements of the process that really doesn't add value to your products and services. They only add cost. So Lean uses several tools. Some of the tools may be familiar to you, and you might be seeing the tools reiteratively across the succeeding slides. So we have downtime. This is actually the waste from defects, opportunities, waiting, unutilized talent, transportation, inventory, motion, and extra processing. So first and foremost, of course, we have to identify and recognize the waste. And we have also what we call the value analysis. Okay, separating value add to from non-value add, bottleneck analysis. We have pull system, value stream mapping, OEE, PDCA, one of the approaches but being used in Lean, right? Mistake proofing, 5S, and single minute exchange of die, or also known as pit stop. So how does Lean work? Well, basically, it's based on five pillars. And the five pillars are given here. We start with defining the value. So we define which particular part of this process or what particular magnitude of the process is of value to our customer. After that, we map the value stream. We try to understand if in any case there is a gap with the expected value and the actual value that we're receiving. We then map the value stream to identify in which parts of the stream can we take opportunities so that we can achieve that level of value. And this is done by, of course, creating what is called a smooth flow, also known as the one piece flow. And this one piece flow is basically powered by or integrated with what we call pull system or establishing the pull, wherein we are, of course, trying to make sure that we are only producing what has been consumed. So that's basically the principle. And after improving, we then practice what is called pursuit of perfection or continuous improvement, as we may translate. So there's continuous improvement within continuous improvement framework, right? So for example, I have projects that we were able to reduce, okay, the amount of lead time that is being spent on new product introduction from about 145 days to about 30 to 45 days. So imagine the reduction. So that's basically about 67% reduction in terms of the time it takes to do the new product things, right? So that's basically lean. If you will examine most of the projects that falls under lean is aligned, of course, with the downtime. Okay, but most of the metrics are time based. Okay, so that's one maybe key feature of the lean approach. Okay? I'm not saying, of course, all the time, but most of the time, and this is based on what I've seen and what I've done from the past. Okay. The next, of course, from the seven is the Six Sigma. Okay, so they are separated in this particular discussion. Six Sigma is about variation reduction. We may already know that quality is inversely proportional to, of course, variation. So the more the variation is coming from the process, the lesser the prescribed level of quality this process can have. Okay, so what we need is to basically, using Six Sigma approach, is to contain the amount of variation, or have an acceptable level of variation that would not affect the level of quality of the output coming from this process, right? So it is described to be the method that provides organizations tools to improve the capability of their business processes, that leads to defect reduction and improvements in profits, employee morale, and quality of output. So Six Sigma has been a proven methodology, just like Lean, and there are benefits. There are a lot of benefits of applying this disciplined approach or continuous improvement approach. If we talk about tools, these are some tools. This is not all. Just like the previous slide, they are not everything that we are using, but these are just the common ones. We have the project charter, we have process maps, we have CTQ or KPI drill downs. We use measurement system analysis. We use process capability analysis, failure modes and effects analysis, root cause analysis, combination of graphical and statistical analysis, design of experiments, statistical process control, and even mistake proofing or pokayoke. Now, how does it work? So it follows a five-phase model. Okay, so it starts with defining the right gap. So we have tools, and we have means and ways on how to identify the right gap to pursue. Since there are a lot of gaps, either it's going to be problem or opportunity that could be available in our organization. So followed with measurement of, or measuring the right current performance. So this is where we try to explore, understand how the process works, and probably get initial information and data about the process, and then check whether the source of the data is reliable or not, and then apply proper baselining approaches. And after that measure phase, will be moving to the third phase, which is the analyze phase. So this is basically you know um, putting perspective into what are the possible or potential root causes, and then of course validating these root causes using data. Okay, using both graphical and statistical analysis. So once the validated root causes were identified, then we put improvements, and this is through improve using the right solutions as a phase. So this is where the combination of lean, statistical, like design of experiments, and your domain expertise of the process will come into the picture. The integration of all of these things will help you, of course, to come up with really effective solutions moving forward, and try to apply them and see whether there were significant impacts in terms of the application of this improvement. So that happens all in the improve phase. And of course, there's going to be the control phase to make sure, using the right control measures, to make sure that the gains that we were able to acquire from the previous phase, improve phase, will be sustained, okay, or maintained moving forward. So that's basically the Six Sigma approach. We're talking about the DMAIC approach, by the way. So define, measure, analyze, improve, and control. Okay, so that's the second one. I've been using, of course, personally, the mic as my framework. I've completed several projects, of course, in the past, and even up until now. I'm mentoring organizations and candidates of these organizations on the application of the DMAIC approach. So for me, it's a very utility framework in terms of continuous improvement. Of course, what I'm using basically now is combination of Lean and Six Sigma and other approaches that you will see. And but I've used the framework. I have published researches on specifically the mic approaches on OEE. Okay, you want to improve OEE, you use the mic approach. I have published researches on that, and also with capacity improvement. And now I'm trying to build a digital transformation framework still anchored with the mic approach. So it's pretty much a utility approach for me personally. Next, of course, is a very famous approach called Kaizen. So, who among people who are watching this particular session right now is not familiar with Kaizen? Kaizen is also known as small positive changes, and it has been coined also as continuous improvement itself. Okay, so as described by the Kaizen Institute, this is the practice of continuing improvement involving everyone, managers and workers alike. So I would say that the power of Kaizen is basically on its ability to involve everyone. Okay. So the commonly used tools are the basic 7 QC tools, downtime, 5S, visual management, total productive maintenance, standard work, OEE, spaghetti diagram, root cause analysis, and A3 storyboarding. Well, basically, the A3 storyboard is the one that is being used most commonly to capture, of course, Kaizen projects. I've seen organization that has like level 1, level 2 Kaizen projects, and it depends on the impact of these projects and complexity. So, but still, they are both called Kaizen projects. Now, how does this Kaizen project works? So I've managed to curate a 10-step approach. Some organizations might be using the A3 storyboard, the steps of the A3 storyboard. So this is basically aligned with what you can see on the A3 storyboard. Okay, so we have first identification of the problem, capture current state. We have, of course, conduct root cause analysis, devise countermeasures, define your target state. So a little bit after defining your countermeasures, developing your implementation plan, of course, developing a follow up or follow through plan, getting everyone on board, implementing all what has been planned, and evaluation of the results. Of course, these steps could vary depending on your organization. Okay. So that is basically Kaizen. So I've seen a lot of Kaizen projects from my exposure to the organizations that I was able to work with and to the clients that I was able to help with. So the approaches and strategies might be different, but the context of Kaizen being it to be, you know, small positive changes being applied to the organization, it's pretty much the same context. Now let's move to the next one. We're talking about PDCA. So I call it the versatile framework because even small and big projects you can use PDCA. Okay, so I've managed to create a VSM or value stream mapping following the PDCA framework. So that this is basically from training up until completion of the projects using VSM as the source of the project. So if you're interested to learn more about that, you can connect with me with via LinkedIn, and I can talk some points about that, or even you can we can talk about it in a format like this as well. So what is PDCA? PDCA is a four-step model for carrying out change. So just as a circle has no end, the PDCA cycle should be repeated again and again. And for continuous improvement, the PDCA cycle is considered a project planning tool as well because from its phases. So the commonly used tools are problem analysis. We're talking about the 7 basic QC tools here, impact and effort matrix, YY analysis, standardization, and even 5S. And what is the approach? So, like what it stands for, PDCA. So, plan, do, check, and act. So, in plan, we recognize an opportunity and plan a change. So, basically, if you have seen that there's a need for a change, whether your metrics or KPIs or a certain condition in your organization needs to be moved from one state to another, then that's going to be your your signal for you to initiate that particular change. So next would be the do part. So this is where we test the change and we carry out a small scale study. This is where we try to implement, okay, the changes that we have planned by far. After that is the check phase, wherein we basically review the test, the study that we have conducted, and analyze the results and identify what are the, key takeaways and learnings coming from doing these studies. So we check whether it's effective or not. Okay, before and after comparison. And after that, the last phase, this talks about the act phase. Okay, so this is more of taking action based on what you learned in the study step or in the check phase. Okay, so this is basically standardizing everything, finding it out, and doing and securing everything will be in proper places as you try to do a full scale implementation. So that's basically plan, do, check, act. So as mentioned, I have done some projects, but these projects will basically be more of deployment projects. For my case, when you say deployment projects, let's say, for example, if I want to deploy a VSM framework following the PDCA, I do that. Whenever I do high level programs like creating programs for operators or for technicians or for certain levels of the organization, so I use PDCA as a framework for me to complete the program or to create the program from planning up until act or deployment of that particular program. Some other organizations use this, of course, for smaller projects. I've seen some organizations doing small group activities using the PDCA. I've seen some organizations using Kaizen using the PDCA. Well, you can see that some of the frameworks, the models, are given as individual here, but there are cases that they are being used within a specific framework as well, and that there's nothing wrong about that. Design thinking, of course, this is a very buzzword nowadays. Not directly with continuous improvement, but can be integrated within a continuous improvement framework. So from IDEO University, this is described to be a human-centered core, or it focuses on the human-centered um, area or facet. It encourages organizations to focus on the people they're creating for, which leads to better products, services, and internal processes. So this is basically a continuous improvement and I would say innovation tool. Okay, so most commonly used tools are project charter, process map. Or sorry, I think I was not able to update this, but this should be more of journey mappings. We're talking about user researches. We're talking about prototyping. So we're talking about user usability testing. So yeah, and the approach, it basically uses also a five-phase framework. Okay, so it starts with empathize. We gather high-quality customer understanding either through what I've mentioned earlier, either by what do you call this, conducting researches or surveys, focus group discussions. Okay, trying to understand, empathizing with the users of the process, product, or service, and then define. We have to frame the right opportunity wherein we can produce the solution or we can generate the solution. So we're talking about the use of how might we statements, and from the how might we, so there's going to be an application of both convergent and divergent thinking. So we're talking about ideate, wherein we will be ideating potential solutions to the identified or defined um, pain point or problem, and then from many options we'll be using the divergent thinking. We will be converging, we will be getting and deciding whether which among this solution that has been presented can be pursued to the next phase, which is basically the prototype phase, wherein we hold inspirational rapid sketches or sessions or called design sprints. So this is where we do low fidelity, high fidelity prototyping with the end in mind that we want to have a minimum representation of probably the solution that we have on a certain pain point that we were able to identify. So that's going to be tested to actual users to get feedback. And as mentioned, this is iterative. So there's going to be an iteration from test to prototype until such time that we arrive to like a minimum viable product or a minimum viable solution viable service or a minimum viable solution that could be, used by our actual users moving forward. So that's basically design thinking. Next would be trees. So as mentioned, some of this you may not be familiar at all, or you've heard them, but you've seen maybe that they're not part of the CI. But believe me, in the parts or phases wherein you apply or generate solutions, design thinking and trees will be very helpful. So what is trees? Trees stands for a German phrase, which we when we translate, it's called the theory of inventive problem solving. So it is described to be a systematic process that develops critical thinking skills and promote creativity and innovation. The genesis of trees is derived from empirical data and patents, the documentation of how inventive people solve inventive problems. So it's basically coming from a lot of patents being studied and seeing those patterns and converted them into this commonly used tools. We're talking about law of ideality, functional modeling, locating the zones of conflict, laws of technical evolution, and the seven standard solutions. So what's good about trees is that there's a this seven standard solutions wherein if you have a specific problem, if we go to the approach, if you have a specific problem right now, and this could be part of maybe your DMAIC or your lean or your PDCA, you have this specific problem, you can look in the standard solution what particular problem this particular solution addresses, and then you convert that. That's going to be your tree's general problem. So looking also on the standard solutions, we can now you'll be given options on how you want to do the solution. So there's general solutions to it, and then you just have to tweak it so that you can arrive with a specific solution based on the domain of the problem that you are trying to address or solve. So the power of trees is basically, you might heard of this, it may sound cliche, but it's basically there's someone that has experienced this particular problem before, and you don't have to reinvent the wheel trying to come up with another solution. Okay, so this particular triz is actually a powerful tool if you would want to follow that particular thought process or mindset. Okay, so by being a specific problem, we look into the set of tools of trees, we arrive with a tree's general problem, convert that into a general solution, and eventually come up with a specific solution. So that's basically how trees works. And last but not the least is the theory of constraints. So most of the cases, this is one tool or approach that we use to eliminate constraints. So constraints, to put context, it's basically about um, constraints is about the limitations. Okay, so it's described to be an approach that we use to achieve the objective still of activities and initiatives that we're doing. But if there's a constraint, so the teaching or the discipline gives us a structured approach on how we can go about that constraint and still achieve the objectives. So we're talking about tools like categories of legitimate reservation, critical chain project management, current reality tree, buffer rope, and up until throughput accounting. So there's a lot of tools. And how do we go about theory of constraints? So this is being thought and being integrated also for Lean Six Sigma projects. Okay, so what is the approach? We talk about identifying the current constraint. So it could be like from a series of study about a bottleneck. Okay, we see that, hey, there's a constraint that causes the bottleneck, so that's going to be your focus. You exploit, you make improvements using existing resources. You subordinate, you ensure all activities support the constraint. So you focus all your resources, your activities, your initiatives to this constraint. You elevate, if constraints still exist, you take further actions, and then you repeat. So you move to the next constraint. So just imagine a theory of constraints being applied to your VSM or value stream mapping, or during your exercise on business process mapping, you have identified, let's say for example, like if you have 10 process steps, process number 2 is the one that causing the bottleneck. So you apply this approach to that, and after resolving that constraint or the source of bottleneck that you've identified, you then go to the next one. Okay, so that's basically how the theory of constraint works, no, in general context. But of course, given the tools, I think there's more complexity to it. Okay, so that is basically the overview of each of the continuous improvement um, approaches. Now I've managed to use this time, okay, to of course have this. Okay, so this is basically the approach selection guide. So we of course start by recognizing that there is a gap, followed by asking ourselves, is this particular process following a process management system? If no, sorry, the no part is the one leading to the project process management. I forgot to put the yes or no, sorry. No, then you have to put first process management. If yes, then ask yourself, is the solution known? If the solution is known, you can just do it. If it's not known, then the next question would be, are the solutions obvious? And you can use either PDCA or Kaizen. And next question would be, if that is a no, is it a new process? If it's a new process, then you have to ask yourself, is invention required? If yes, then you can use trees. If no, you can use design thinking or design sprint. So next question would be, is waste elimination the objective? If yes, then you can ask yourself again, is waste driven by variation? If no, then you can use lean or Kaizen. If the waste is driven by variation, and if the target is not waste elimination but more of variation, really, you can go to directly to Six Sigma or theory of constraints. So this is just a recommendation based on what I've experienced by far and by looking into published researches. Okay, so you can use this as a reference. Now, I've managed to put them in a different form or in a different view. So we're looking into the complexity of the opportunity or the problem or the gap. So we have here on the y-axis the low and high in terms of complexity of that particular opportunity or problem, and on the x-axis I have presented here whether the solution is known or unknown. So this is basically me giving you just a simpler version of what I have presented on the previous slide. So whenever you are bound to choose which particular approach could you use, again, these are not hard rules, but rather just recommendations and suggestions. So your organization might also have different takes on this. So just use this as a reference. You can just use this as a reference, of course. Okay, so for the last decade of me using continuous improvement approaches, let me just share things that I've learned. Of course, depending on the approaches that your organization are using or you as a professional that you subscribe to. So there could be some changes. But if you've seen it through my slides, there are also tools and techniques that are being repeated across each of the critical across the continuous improvement approaches, right? So meaning it's really up to us how we will tweak the approach to for us to gain advantage in the application of that particular approach. Well, I just want to share with you, regardless of the approach, I think these 5 skills for continuous improvement is something that we have to develop as professionals. Number one, complex problem solving. So we have to choose at least one structured approach if we really want to practice CI. Second one is we have to build critical thinking. We have to decide based on data and facts. So this should be data driven. Okay, what we're doing in the continuous improvement applications. Creativity, of course, at the end of the day, we will be asked to produce solutions to address the gaps. So this is basically us thinking differently, but still, getting the bottom line, okay? Hitting the bottom line of the results that we're asked to do so. Communication, of course, when you're doing CI, you're talking to a lot of people, entities. So we have to give, receive, and share information, and we have to do it effectively. And of course, collaboration. So when we talk about continuous improvement, either small or big initiatives, so we're talking about working with people outside maybe our team or even outside our department, okay, and sometimes even outside our organization to make things happen. So I think moving forward, if you're here, you're a young CI professional or practitioner, if you're an experienced one, I hope you agree with this. But I think from the last decade of trying to do and implement things around CI, these are skills that I think are very important. Plus, of course, your ability to decide which among these CI tools could be useful or not, or will be applicable based on the specific scenario or conditions that you have. Okay, so I think that's gonna be all for my talk. But before I end my talk, I want to invite everyone to, of course, participate in a very short gamified quiz. Again, the top five winners will win free project management fundamental certification e-learning course from Lex PH Academy. So please, do go to slido.com and use hashtag Alpha 2022 to join the quiz. Or if you can just scan the QR code, yeah, you can do that. So let me try to reshare another screen. So this will be very quick, of course, because I think I do have okay, I do have to do this very quick. So I hope you can go head over to this and join, of course, our session. So I just activated the quiz, so you should be able to join the session. Okay. So I'm gonna give please, the organizers, PSQ team, please give me at least 3 minutes to try to influence these people to join our game today. And then after that, we'll be going, of course, to our Q&A that will be facilitated by our dear host for today. Okay, so we're gonna start in 2 more minutes. Go ahead and join the quiz. We have now 18 contenders. Okay, 20. So basically, we will be providing 25% to. I mean, we will be providing prizes to 25% of the session participants as of this time. Oh, it's getting bigger. The numbers, 24. Okay, 2 more minutes. 2:55 will do the gamified review quiz. $26 people. Come on. So if ever you won this particular quiz, just make sure that you take a screenshot of your user interface, okay? So that we can match that to the names that will appear here in the leaderboard after the 10 questions. Okay? I think 1 more minute. Go guys. And we'll start the quiz. So this is your chance to get, of course, a free project management certification. Okay. 29 people who are very eager to join the quiz. So make sure, as we are trying to prepare for the quiz, make sure that you're on the polls tab, okay? Poll tab, or not in the Q&A tab of the Slido platform that we're gonna use. You have to choose the answer from the options and then click submit or enter. You don't have to type your answers in Facebook or LinkedIn or in the Q&A section of Slido. You have to be in the poll tab so that you can participate in the quiz. Okay? All right. So I guess we're ready to take on the quiz. So we have 33 participants. So last call. Okay, we have 33. And now let's start with the gamified review quiz. Starting off with question number 1. Continuous improvement is the ongoing improvement of products, services, or processes through blank. So you have to be very quick in typing or in sending your answers. So only 12, so only one third were able to answer this question, 12 out of 37. So I hope you had the grasp of how this works. And the correct answer, of course, is incremental or breakthrough. Next, which is not a potential benefit of applying continuous improvement. 10 seconds. You only have 10 seconds. So you have to, be very agile. All right. We have 25 out of 38. Answer, of course, is decreased agility. Next, based on the survey presented, which is the most commonly used CI approach? Come on, guys. Let's do this. All right. So we have lean. Okay. Next question, question number 4. This is also known as the waste elimination approach of continuous improvement. All right. So we're talking about, of course, lean again. Next, this is also known as the variation reduction approach of continuous improvement. So these are just basic questions. I'm just trying if you're really listening to what I've shared this afternoon. All right. The correct answer is Six Sigma, of course. Next, a four-step model for carrying out change. A four-step model for carrying out change. All right. The correct answer is, of course, PDCA. Question number 7. This approach follows a five-phase approach such as empathize, define, ideate, prototype, and test. Correct answer is design thinking. Next, which does not belong to the group? Correct answer is JDI, or just do it. All of them are for unknown and complex problems. Unknown solutions, complex problems with unknown solutions, except for JDI, of course. Next, which is not part of the 5 skills we need to build for continuous improvement. Of course, the answer is complacency. And last, if this is not present in a process, we cannot simply pursue continuous improvement. And after this, we will now reveal who is our top 5 winners in our leaderboard. The correct answer is process management system. All right. Thank you, everyone, to our 42 participants. Let's now take a peek on who are the winners. All right. On number 5, we have, we have Charlene Bon. Followed on number 4 spot, we have Dane. On number 3, we have Sir Heel, our host for, of course, for today. Number 2, Kat. And number 1, Krisha May Piamonte. So please make sure that we have a screenshot of the result on coming from your end, and so that we can match this, of course, to our leaderboard here. All right. So again, thank you for your participation, and I'm gonna share again my screen for the Q and A. Sir Hill.
Sir Felix, hello. Thank you very much for that wonderful talk that you gave to all of us, and of course, that freebie that you gave to the lucky winners. Well, I just joined to test out and be with the audience. Well, fortunately, it was part of the top top scorers, no? So, well, uh, we'll be all together with your free, your free
Sure, sure.
webinar
No
now.
worries.
Well, we are now opening the floor to all our for all questions or concerns that our participants may have for our speaker, Mr. Felix Veroya of Ask Lex PH Academy. So, if you have any questions, any clarifications that you wish to give to Sir Felix, please have it uh, shared those questions to us via chat in wherever platform that you are watching right now. Of course, we are seeing a lot of congratulatory remarks for Sir Lex for a very mind opening uh, talk. It was both a check into the things that we already know, a review, and also an introduction for those that we are hearing for the first time. And I think for me personally, one of the things that I like was how all of those different continuous improvement approaches were summarized and compressed into one flow chart that could really be of help to guide our quality managers. Which of these many different continuous improvement approaches or tools should we use? Then you have this flow chart, use it as a guide for you to be able to use the best possible tool. No, so I think I could speak in behalf of a lot of other participants that they appreciated the talk, and that um, flowchart alone, that's very helpful. Thank you very much again for your generosity for sharing those things to us, Sir Felix. We have a question coming in from YouTube. Allow me to read the question from Mr. Jonathan Lim. How do we learn the details of how to do the CI approaches?
All right. So thank you, Jonathan, for this question. I think if I got the question correctly, you're talking about how. Well, basically, the question might be how can I start learning each and every approaches. Um, I would say that there are the times today we have a lot of access to to free resources, so you can start maybe picking one approach that you would see fit for your projects or the things that you're doing inside your organization right now. So you can use basically the flow chart to guide you. So for example, if you've seen that you're dealing with complex projects that deals with waste and variation. So you can do Lean and Six Sigma. So first, you have to identify which approach is going to be usable to your function or to your workplace. And then from there, you can find a lot of resources for free. But of course, if you would want more guidance and more structured approaches, there are organizations that could provide that. PSQ for one, our organization do that also. So yeah, or you can actually tap into some mentorship. So there are people who provides mentorship. I myself, I provide mentorship for continuous improvement. So say for example, if there are students or even professionals doing the projects, so and then they're using this approach and they've seen that I'm teaching this, I'm trying to share things about this, so I accommodate them. So you can actually either do study at your own, enroll in a paid course, or even ask for mentorship or join groups, community of practices or COPs or groups. Parang in Facebook, you have a lot of groups, right? So you can join them and learn from their insights. So those are four things that you can do.
There you go. Those are really practical things that we could do. And just follow the pages of the Philippine Society for Quality and ask Lex PH Academy because they do give those mentorships and courses. Miss Mercedes Fidelis Pascasio from Facebook is asking, can I use the House of Quality as a tool for CI?
Wow. Thank you, Miss Mercedes. Well, for context of everyone, House of Quality is basically a tool that you use or set of tools that you use, and that involves it's related to the quality function deployment. So it's basically a tool that tries to correlates the key input variables of a certain process, product, or services to the technical specifications or technical parameters. Okay, and then from there, we build on which among these factors are really critical to our process or product or service. And to answer your question, yes, it could be used. In Six Sigma, we use that. We use that for especially for the MADV approaches or even in the MAIC to identify whether which particular which particular voice of the customer or critical to quality characteristic or KIV, whatever you may call them, is really tied up and correlated or associated with these technical parameters that we're maintaining in our processes. So by knowing that, we can actually pinpoint and have a laser focus on things that really matter. Um, when we talk about things about our process. So yes, the answer is yes. Definitely, you can use that.
Thank you, Sir Felix. We have time for one last question before we end this Q&A segment of our learning session for today. This question comes from one of our viewers from LinkedIn, Sir Jeland Gompay. He asked, which among the approaches fit the most if you have more data available or big data, since some of them are heavy on sampling?
All right. So thank you, Jalan, for this question. I don't know if I got the context of the question correctly, but a lot of the approaches are, uses data. Okay. Um, Nowadays, what we do, well, for our end, what we do is we integrate this analytics through maybe Lean Six Sigma in general. In terms of process exploration, measure phase, and even analyze phase, we use now not being used before or was not popularized before. Since if you talk about the application of statistics in Lean Six Sigma as an example, you can integrate basically this big data thing, this analytics, because it's more of exploring what are the factors that are triggering the problem. So we start with a metric that's data already. And then to your point, maybe if you're talking about sampling, sampling, yeah, we still do sampling, but as we may be hearing, no, um, the more the data that you have, it's you're getting more confident to decide on things using this statistical tools and techniques. So I would say that Lean Six Sigma probably is one of the most most close to using this analytics and data science approaches, specifically measure up until analyze or improve phases. All right. So yeah, thank you
All
for those
right.
questions.
Thank you, Sir Felix, for answering those questions and, of course, for sharing to us those things that you shared about the different approaches for continuous improvement. And our audience has really appreciated it. No, all our viewers from across the different platforms. For us to continue to improve our services here at the Philippine Society for Quality, we are encouraging you to scan the QR code that you are seeing on your screens right now so that you could answer the post evaluation survey. So we very much appreciate the feedback that you will be giving to us, right? At this point, of course, we will not end without giving a quick appreciation to our resource person. So allow me to read the citation of the certificate of appreciation. So this certificate is signed by Dr. Ray B. Fremista, the president of the Philippine Society for Quality. So for imparting invaluable insights and inspiration to the participants during PSQ's July 2022 national webinar with the topic Choosing the Right Continuous Improvement Approach on July 2022, PSQ, or the Philippine Society for Quality, gives the certificate of appreciation to Mr. Felix C. Veroya. Thank you very much once again, Sir Felix.
Thank you to Dr. Ray B. Fremista, to the entire team of PSQ for having me, and to you for hosting this very well, Sir Hill. Thank
The
you, and
pleasure
thank you
is
everyone
mine.
who attended.
The pleasure is mine, Sir Felix. Thank you very much again for you, for your generosity, and of course, to Philippine Society for Quality, which serves as our house in terms of giving us these opportunities to learn more about quality. It, of course, as an organization, it has a mission and vision. We continuously give learning sessions with some of the best speakers in terms of quality, like the ones that you are seeing on screens right now, from Dr. Churan to Dr. Kano to Dr. Ishikawa and Dr. Fagenbaum and Dr. Harrington. And we have a lot more of speakers and even organizations that we have collaborated from both the public and the private sectors, both here and abroad. PSQ continuously provides trainings in lean tools, continuous improvement or Kaizen, quality circles, Lean Six Sigma, and so on. Some of which were the ones covered or shared to us earlier by Sir Felix. As an organization, PSQ also manages these awards, no, that you're seeing here, including the Juran Medal, the Quality Management of the Year Award, and so on. All right. PSQ is also the administrator for the private sector for the PQA, or the Philippine Quality Award, the highest national recognition for exemplary organizational performance of both of organizations in the country. So PSQ really has a lot of services that it gives, including this newly instituted technical hubs, which connects ideas, generates value, and creates the future. I'm personally inviting all of you to be part of these different technical hubs. I'm part of several of these hubs, and I'm a technical specialist for the quality management hub. So please join us here, and let's all collaborate towards quality here in our country. We also wish to invite all of you to join us in the 33rd National Quality Forum, or NQF, this coming October 20 to 21, 2022. We are also gearing towards the 2022 RESCON, the Research Conference in Quality, happening in November 2022. So we have a lot of activities in store for you, and we very much are excited to have these activities and, of course, to see you all there. So if you wish to be part of Philippine Society for Quality and know more about our activities, please join us now and message secretariat at psq.org.ph. This has been your host again, Hilmalian Jr., and in behalf of the Philippine Society for Quality, thank you very much. And until our next webinar series, keep keep on giving us your support for us to have a better hashtag PSQ Nation. Thank you very much and enjoy the rest of the day.